Welcome to today's discussion on the media revolution continues, the Internet and cellular technology. The modern media revolution continued with the birth of the Internet. As a medium of communication, a source of news and information, and a tool for political engagement and grassroots organizing, the Internet has had an incalculable and a global impact on the way people interact. But access to the Internet is not equal, because affluent individuals are more likely than less affluent to have computers and Internet connections. The term for this unequal access to computer technology is the digital divide. Sociologist Mark Wheeler has examined the digital divide, particularly when it comes to high-speed Internet connectivity. He has noted that income and wealth affect individuals' access to high-speed Internet service, even in the world's most affluent democracies. Yet, even for those without computers of their own, the Internet has broadly transformed life in the United States. How the average U.S. citizen is educated, communicates, gets news, shops, receives information about politics, and participates in the political process all have changed because of the Internet. As political scientist Michael Kornfield noted, "I can't think of anything except kissing babies that you can't do online." The influence of the Internet has been both positive and negative, and it continues to evolve. Over time, the Internet has transformed the media's function as a conveyor of information and a resource for civic engagement. Communications scholar Howard Rheingold argues that the digital media in particular serve as a key avenue by which young people can use their public voice to consume and share information. In its early years, the Internet functioned in much the same way that traditional media formats such as newspapers and periodicals functioned. It provided a convenient but one-way means for people to get information at times determined by the publisher. As bandwidth, the amount of data that can travel through a network in a given time period, has increased, so too has the sophistication of web content, as well as the venues and formats that serve as information sources. Today's news websites, including those of all the network and cable news stations, plus sites maintained by Internet service providers such as AOL, give Internet users news stories when they want them instead of at predetermined times. Users can selectively search for specific information about public issues that matter to them, potentially building their knowledge base with a mouse click. Moreover, many contemporary news outlets, including magazines and radio programs, are now making available downloadable podcasts of content that users can view or listen to at their convenience. These podcasts are giving individuals even greater access to information, including reports on social issues, policy initiatives, and politics. Civic participation has been facilitated by the rise of news websites and social networking sites, as well as blogs that allow readers to engage in virtual civic discourse. YouTube provides a compelling example of how the evolving Internet has worked to the benefit of civic engagement. This website, which debuted in February 2005, allows individuals to post and watch original videos, like the one you're watching now. The success of the YouTube experiment is inconceivable in the world of the dial-up Internet connection that was the norm for just a few years ago. And so if you want to watch a political advertisement, see congressional testimony, or participate in CitizenTube, YouTube's video weblog or vblog, today's technology makes it possible for you to do so in seconds. In fact, President Obama has his own YouTube channel, which broadcasts speeches and press conferences. The interactivity embodied in viewing, commenting, posting, and vblogging has revolutionized civic discourse. Today's Internet technology also facilitates the formation of virtual communities. These networks of interested participants, though different from their IRL, which stands for in real life, counterparts, share features with those real-world groups. Many blogs, for example, have community leaders, regular contributors, expert commentators, and participants with established roles. Blogs promote civic engagement by disseminating information, exposing readers to the viewpoints of others, providing a forum allowing bloggers to share their own views, serving as a venue for the information of online communities that can foster feelings of efficacy among participants, and channeling activism, both virtual and real. In short, the Internet has led to the phenomena of the prosumer, the individual who simultaneously consumes information and news and produces information in the form of videos, blogs, and websites. The amount of time that Americans spend on the internet is steadily increasing. In 2005, the average time spent online was 3 hours daily. It is now over 4. Time spent online exceeds the amount of time that people spend consuming other media, including television, radio, and newspaper. Perhaps more important, the number of individuals using the internet as a source of news continues to increase dramatically. If you look at this chart, it starts in 2010 to 2011 to 2013. As you can see, television as a source of news has increased, the internet has increased, newspapers has decreased, radio has increased, magazines has increased, and other has fluctuated. In fact, by 2008, 2/3 of Americans got news from the internet at least sometimes, and nearly 1/3 used the internet as a news source daily. It is no wonder Nielsen TV ratings and newspaper subscriptions have declined. The adage that a week is an eternity in politics has become an understatement in the age of the internet and the 24-hour news cycle. Things happen in the click of a mouse button, and increasingly politicians are making snap statements in front of every present cell phone, video cameras, and regretting them later. Such was the case in 2010 when Vice President Joe Biden used an expletive caught on an open microphone. After introducing President Barack Obama, who had just succeeded in shepherding health care reform through Congress, the Vice President turned to the President and said, "This is a big beep deal." Video footage of the gaffe spread like wildfire on the internet, and more than 1 million people watched a YouTube video of the blunder. In response, and in an effort to control damage, Robert Gibbs, the White House press secretary, tweeted, "And yes, Mr. Vice President, you're right," on Twitter. Internet news sites could be doing some things better, though. For example, many news outlets present a news story as either an article or a video, but few major media outlets offer hot links to original source data that would aid interested site users in delving more deeply into the story. Instead of a synthesized news article on a Supreme Court decision, for instance, media outlets could provide links to the original opinions on the case as well as links to audio recordings of the arguments before the court, records of lower court decisions, and briefs filed with the court supporting or opposing one side or the other, which are available elsewhere online if one is willing to search for them. Instead, most outlets offer only broad coverage with links to related stories, an approach that does not make it easy for an individual to research a matter of interest more deeply. Even more than talk radio, the internet has made politics participative. People can express their preferences online on issues from health reform to term limits, from income tax credits to repealing the inheritance tax. But besides acting as a gauge for public opinion, the internet can also be a useful tool for citizens' political activism. The traditional media have not had nearly the impact on political participation that the internet has had. For example, the left-of-center wing of the Democratic Party has not achieved the same media dominance in radio as the conservative wing of the Republican Party. One radio station targeting liberal listeners, Air America, went on the air in 2004, but it never succeeded in attracting a competitive share of the radio audience and ceased operation early in 2010. What has worked in attracting the liberal wing of the youth votes are blogs and websites such as www.moveon.org. Jesse Ventura, a professional wrestler who served as the governor of Minnesota from 1999 to 2003, credits the web for opening up the political process by enabling grassroots mobilization through e-campaigning, the practice of mobilizing voters using the internet, which allowed an outsider like him to be elected governor. Winning half of the under 30 vote, Ventura conducted a campaign without any physical headquarters, at least at first. Armed with a large email list, he enlisted pledges of support that short-circuited the traditional doorbell ringing and telephone calls that go with the territory we're running for office. His tactics gave him the final surge of voters that he needed to win. Ventura's victory testifies to the power of the internet as a political campaign tool. During the 2010 midterm congressional elections, candidates updated their Facebook statuses and tweeted press releases. E-campaigning became fully integrated into the political communication process. For example, Senator Pat Toomey, a Republican from Pennsylvania, tweeted, "Why Democrats are supporting Pat Toomey." BlogHer.com collected questions from blog readers, then posed those questions to women candidates running for Congress. The responses were then posted on the blog site. Nearly every candidate boasted a Facebook page, and staffers often jokingly compared the number of candidate friends and fans. The internet has even changed how candidacies are announced and presidential campaigns unfold. A campaign video of former Senator John Edwards announcing his candidacy in New Orleans ran on YouTube, and both Senator Barack Obama and Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton announced their candidacies via their websites, followed by the posting of the corresponding videos on YouTube. The internet has also changed the nature of political organizing. On the day that Senator Obama announced his bid for the presidency, Farouk Aragabe, a student government advisor at the University of Missouri, logged on to Facebook and announced the formation of a group called 1 Million Strong for Barack. Within a month, his Facebook group had over 250,000 members, and other Facebook users had formed more than 500 groups supporting the candidate. But the rapid expansion of the internet technology has also made it more difficult for presidential campaigns and administrations to manage the news. Clearly, the widespread use of the internet has also contributed to the spread of blogs. A new language has sprouted to incorporate this development, beginning with the blogosphere, the community or social network of bloggers. Estimates indicate that the number of blogs has doubled every month since 2003. Has doubled every 5 months since 2003 to a current level of over 50 million individual blogs. As the number has multiplied, their variety and credibility have increased. Bloggers received press credentials at both the Democratic and Republican conventions in 2008, 2012, and 2012. Traditional television and print media outlets now host blogs as well. Many who read blogs note that they are more up-to-date than traditional media outlets, and bloggers themselves believe that blogs have influenced and are most likely to continue to influence the field of politics. These two charts show the results of a Technorati.com poll in which the majority of bloggers, 57%, said they thought that bloggers have influenced politics more than any other field. 51% also said that they thought blogging will have more impact in the field of politics than in any other field in the next decade. The blog's rise as a tool of grassroots organizing has given birth to the term netroots to describe net-centered political efforts on behalf of candidates and causes. A blog makes information available to large numbers of users immediately, spreading news and energizing supporters more rapidly than any other medium. It also differs from traditional media in one important way. Bloggers make no attempt to be impartial. A blog is an opinion journal, offering a specific perspective and appealing to a specific segment of the public. In that respect, it cannot replace traditional journalism, especially because there is no check on whether the facts it presents are correct. But blogs continue to change the face of political campaigning and grassroots organization, for better or for worse. The concept of convergence has taken hold among media observers today. Convergence refers to the merging of various forms of media, newspapers, television stations, radio networks, and blogs, under one corporate roof with one set of business and editorial leaders. The emergence of Politico, a multimedia startup that debuted in Washington, D.C. in January 2007, is an example of this concept come to life. What would have been regarded in the past as a violation of antitrust laws is now considered the wave of the future. Politico's mission is to report the daily politics on Capitol Hill and in the White House. Politico is a publication of Capital News Corp., which is financed by Albitron Communications, which used to own a now-defunct newspaper called the Washington Star. The explosion of the internet in politics has also opened up a Pandora's box of problems. One key problem is misinformation. Unlike newspapers, magazines, and television networks, where editors and fact-checkers are responsible for ensuring accuracy, the internet is almost entirely unmonitored. In political campaigns, misinformation can be devastating. Another problem is that the internet has contributed to the decline in civility in political discourse. Some bloggers and anonymous message board posters seek to destroy their opponents' reputations. The nature of the internet means that lies and slanderous accusations can often be leveled with no consequence to the poster. This problem occurs not just in national politics, but in community politics as well. The Internet also poses a host of unknown possibilities. What will be the crossover effects, for example, of such present-day crimes as identity theft and the stealing of Social Security numbers and state secrets by hackers? Consider the problems of a national election conducted through computer terminals. How would a recount be managed? Would the outcome be fair? Would the losers view it as fair? Would the average citizen trust the results? And although new communication tools allow politicians substantially to reduce the amount of legwork and flesh pressing required in a typical campaign, the absence of such glad-handing could also destroy the flavor of local politics. Politicians would no longer have to stand in front of supermarkets and kiss babies, but neither would the voters be able to get to know the candidates or to probe into their views on the issues. The rise of the Internet has occurred at a pace that has not allowed societies to digest its potential for both good and evil causes in the battle for free speech. Consider, for example, the impact the Internet and cellular technology had in the aftermath of the Iranian elections in the summer of 2009. That year, websites, blogs, and cell phones were the primary tools used by pro-democracy activists who disputed the outcome of the Iranian elections, in which President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad claimed victory over opposition candidate Mir Hassan Mousavi, so that the protests came to be dubbed the Twitter Revolution. Protesters relied on Twitter, text messages, and social networking sites to organize rallies. In response, the Iranian government also used technology, including videos recorded on cell phones, to identify and arrest protesters. But the use of the Internet as a dangerous tool is not limited to Iranian government officials half a world away. In the United States, there are few restrictions on the content that can be posted on the Internet. Thus, hate groups throughout the world are able to register their domain name in the United States. These websites can be used to spew hatred and organize like-minded individuals. The danger is that some of these activities might lead to acts of violence, including murder. In spring 2005, U.S. District Court Judge Joan Humphrey Lefkow returned home from work to find the murdered bodies of her husband and her mother in the basement of her home on Chicago's North Side. Their killer, an unemployed electrician, had found Judge Lefkow's name and address posted on several hate websites, where readers were encouraged to take justice into their own hands. The day after the murders, Bill White, editor of one of the hate sites, posted his approval. Everyone associated with the Matt Hale trial, over which Judge Lefkow had presided, has deserved assassination for a long time. I don't feel bad that Judge Lefkow's family was murdered. In fact, I laughed. The availability of cheap worldwide communications technology makes the Internet an ideal tool for terrorists and other haters who hide among the world's 1.8 billion users, including about 220 million Americans. The murder of Judge Lefkow's husband and her mother introduced a new dimension to the nation's debate over the limits of free speech. The Internet has allowed extremists to seize on new technologies to spread their messages far more effectively than the soapboxes of earlier days. It also enhances their ability to promote and recruit supporters to their causes. The United States is wedded to the principle of freedom of speech, refusing to regulate the Internet or any other vehicle of free speech. Throughout the nation's history, speech of all kinds has been protected, with periodic exceptions for sedition in war as well as for child pornography in peacetime. Americans have great tolerance for language and believe the fringe groups can flourish freely in a democracy without risking tears in the fabric of society. But the world has changed since 9/11, and as the threat of terrorism grows, many citizens expect lawmakers to do whatever is necessary, including setting limits on free speech, to curb the violence spawned by the prevalence of hate on the Internet.